Welcome, everyone. Good evening. I am so excited to be here with you tonight. Helen Cregan Walsh, comeback architect and wealth guide, mom, wife, financial advisor, mentor. We have so many names of who we speak about and what we talk about. But most importantly, I'm so excited that you're going to spend the next half hour, 45 minutes with me on yourself. And I'm delighted to have you here because we are really going to talk about making a comeback, something that might be so relevant to you when you look at what has happened in your life. Perhaps you owned a business like myself and you're looking to come back from closing it down, from not having as much success. Maybe you're looking to come back from being stagnant. Your business is staying the same and you want to be creative and figure out how to bring it forward. Maybe you're coming back from a setback in a relationship or a business relationship with a business partner. Whatever it is, it's personal to you, but I want you to know you can shift it like that. And I'm so excited to be here with you to go through that with you. So tonight is not going to be about motivation. It's not going to be about pushing yourself harder or getting up and going, but it's going to be about understanding why lasting change does not happen unless you switch something that you're probably not even aware of. And when you become aware of it, after this evening, you're going to be able to shift it like that. You're going to be able to shift it faster. You're going to be able to become aware of the multitude of habits that are sitting in your subconscious mind, and you're going to be aware of learning how to shift them. I want to ask you, have you ever thought about when you've set a goal, uh, you've made some progress, and then you slip back? You know, it's 2026 right now. We're here in the year of the horse. We've shed the snake. We're ready to move forward. And you're thinking to yourself, every time I set a goal, I go straight back. The first 3, 4 months, I'm ahead, I'm on target, I'm right where I want to be, and then something happens. I get sick. Clients are not showing up. There's a disturbance in my business, and that's not a coincidence. That's not by accident. That is the subconscious programming, the multitude of habits that are deep in your subconscious. And I have to grab something. Hold on one sec. I have a visual that I'm going to use to speak to you about. So, all right. The core idea I want to get across to you is it's that not that you lack motivation. It's not that you're a procrastinator. It's not that you're lazy. It's none of those things. It's something deeper that is running the show and you are not even aware of it. So over the next half hour, 40 or 45 minutes, what we're going to be touching on three main principles. The first one is how do you do things? In other words, what causes you to create action? And at the very end of this presentation, I'm going to show one more visual where 98% of the population stands, where most of us react to our outside circumstances. So one is, how do we make decisions and actions? And I'm going to have you become aware of how that happens. The second thing is, how are you programmed? I'm going to talk about your thermostat. I'm going to talk about your comfort zone. I'm going to talk to you about how, if you want to grow outside of that, what you need to do. And the third thing I'm going to talk to you about is your identity, how you see yourself and how you can swap that. That is the biggest programming, is our self-identity and how it's been created over the years and how we're not even aware of who we and what we are. But when we start studying ourselves, we can become aware of that. I want to share a little story with you. Back going on, okay, it's nearly 10 years now, right? Almost 11, but it was kind of 10 years. I say it's a 10-year mark. I had closed down my fairly successful business. I had 4 locations, I had 20 staff, and we made the decision to close it down. At the time, I said it was all about the economy, it was all about the recession. And honestly, as I become more aware and studied myself, I realized that there was something deep down in my programming around my capability for running this big business and maintaining it and doing all the right things. But at that time, and this is where the comeback shift comes from, and this is how I believe I can help you. At that time, I had a awakening that something needed to change. You've ever heard that expression? If you keep doing the same thing over and over again, it's a definition of insanity. How can you expect different results if you're doing the same thing over again? So I knew something needed to change. And if you're at that point right now, I'm going to make a super suggestion to you, which is make a decision. Make a decision today. For the next half hour, you're going to really listen, open your mind, and make a decision that you're not going to operate like this anymore. That the power was never in your circumstances or what was around you, but rather in the way you think about things. So I want to talk about what's really controlling your results. That's the first thing. So I want to dig deep in what is controlling your results. Most of your daily actions are automatic. Let's take it right back. You get up in the morning, you brush your teeth, you take a shower. I know for me, that was my daily routine. My daily routine was probably rushed. Alarm went off, snooze it for 20 minutes, get up, rush and brush my teeth, get the kids ready, run out the door. And it was chaotic, to say the least. But when I looked at that programming and I said, gosh, I don't really want that to go on that way anymore, what I decided was maybe my routine is going to be different. Maybe I'm going to walk for an hour for the first hour of my day. I'm going to get up earlier than everyone else and I'm going to come back and I'm going to control my day. But that didn't happen like that. I had to shift those habits. I was someone who got up in the morning. I was someone who looked after my health, and I was someone who started my day in control of it. And you can run this across all aspects of your life. So most of our daily actions are automatic, and they come from our subconscious mind. And this programming, this affects our confidence, it affects our decisions, it affects what kind of risks we take, and it affects our results. And the reality is that I perhaps didn't want that rushing, but I didn't make a decision in what I was doing. I just reacted to everything outside my world. So if we look at why we keep going back to the same problems, you're looking at it and you're saying, you try to change it, but it's not lasting. You're making progress and you're slipping back. You're starting to feel frustrated and discouraged, but it's not, as I said again, because you're weak, but it's something deeper. So let's talk about the subconscious programming. I like at this point to bring in this stick person. If you know who it is, give me a like, a follow, like, yes, I know who that is. That is the stick person. And the reason the stick person can be so valuable, and if you haven't seen it, this changed my life when I first got this picture in my mind. Because we think in pictures. If I say to you, tell me about your car, you can picture your white car, you can picture the wheels, you can picture the inside dashboard, you can picture the sound of the engine. If I say to you, tell me where your fridge is, you can picture the color, you can picture where it is, you can even open it and see what's in it. Our mind thinks in pictures. But why there's so lack of clarity and why there are so many people doing analysis for people and having them sit and talk through their feelings is because we can't get a picture of our mind. So if you walk away with anything tonight, I want you to walk away with, wow, Helen has shown me how I can picture my mind. And that is going to be instrumental in helping you change things. So when you look at this picture, and I talk about the 98% of the population, they live here in the conscious mind. And me, before I started studying myself, we were all operating in a reactive mode to our five senses, what we see, smell, taste, hear, and touch. And that's where we would spend 98% of our time. So we would be reacting. But that wasn't changing anything. That's why that's why the behavior, we change it. Then something would happen And then we go back to the old programming because down here was the programming. Sure, I'm not a person who gets up early. Sure, I'm not a person who exercises. Or sure, I'm not a person who's really motivated and wants to really have a successful career and a family. Sure, I can't do both. So all that programming sits here. And if that programming is there, guess what happens? You start to attempt to do those things and you go right back. So if you had a programming here, we'll go back to my example of my when I was operating the company. If I had a programming here, it's like, I'm just not good enough. How am I going to do this? I'm in an Irish company, my culture is different, the way I speak to people is different. I'm not, people are not reacting to me well. Guess what happens? It all starts to fall apart. So you're looking to make a comeback shift, and now you understand why it's happened. You go, why did that happen? Why did I not go for that interview? Why did I not take that job? Peel back. What's my programming? Why is that? What's happened? So you don't get what you want, but I really wanted that job. I really wanted to start that business. I really wanted it. Guess what? It's you don't get what you want. You get what you're programmed for. Understand, first step is understand your programming. And that sounds much easier than it is, isn't it? But when you look at things, and it's so funny, you have a certain program for money, and that's a big one. If people say, but I really want to have a successful business, how much, what is the most money you've ever made? That's the first question I ask. What is the most money you've ever made? And if they say 50,000, that's where they're programmed. If they say 75,000, that's where they're programmed. And they'll go right back there. So let's talk about the thermostat. So now you understand the programming and you understand why you're going back to the same problems because you haven't shifted the programming. You're not programmed to do it differently. We'll put her down for a second. And now we'll say, what's my set point? What do you mean by the thermometer? So you're operating at a certain frequency, a certain temperature, call it. Think of the house. You set the temperature to 20 degrees Celsius, 70 degrees Fahrenheit. And the house is I liked it at 70. The kids like it at 65. But just say it's a comfortable temperature. And someone opens the door and the cold air comes in. In fact, there's wind, there's rain, everything comes in this weather. And the temperature drops in the house. You don't go over and change the thermostat, do you? No. You close the door and you wait, and the temperature rises back up to that. I have a great example for this, and I've experienced this in my own life, and my clients have experienced this. I want you to think of your business. If you're in business, I want you to think of your life. I want you to think of a situation where you might have been behind a target where you wanted to be. If you're in sales and say your target is 1 million in sales by the end of the year, and it is October and you're at 750,000, you will get that 250,000 to bring you to 1 million in sales by December because that's what you're programmed to do. If you're ahead, which I've seen salespeople be ahead in the first quarter, they're ahead by 1 million, not 1 million. Say they're ahead and they're like, oh my God, I'm going to finish double of where I was. And then all of a sudden something happens. They get sick. The client doesn't come in and they finish in the same place they did the year before. And they're like, oh, you know what? I just can't do it. I can't get my sales above a certain level. No, it's because you're programmed to do it. So if you have had a setback And you're like me and some of my clients, and you've just always done it. You've set up a business, it's been successful. You've gone for a job, it's been successful. You've made friends in a new place. Everything has been so successful. And then you've had this really negative thing happen. You don't know how to fix it. And I remember this so clearly. The reason you don't know how to fix it is because you didn't know how you did it in the first place. You just did it. But what I'm going to invite you to look at is how real lasting change happens and what you did do. So now we're going to unravel what you did in the first place that created the success so you can replicate it and do it again and forget about what's gone wrong. So we know that the subconscious is controlling our results. We know that you only get what you're programmed for. So what happens is, this is so clear now, is if we look at this, we say, okay, when we have a setback, a failure, I like to call it a learning experience, but when we have something, and it can be as major as you want it to be, but when it happens, what happens? When it happens, what happens? What happens is we start focusing on not our dream, not our business, not where we want to go, but our past results, what has already happened. I like to call this the balance sheet syndrome, the profit sheet syndrome, the report card syndrome. I'm going to explain this actually because I think this is brilliant to explain this. If anyone has children, nieces, nephews, brothers and sisters, or even remember your own experience, I'm going to give you the best analogy here. Your son or daughter comes home and they have in their four main subjects, English, maths, science, and English, math, science, and what else? I don't know. English, math, science, I keep forgetting, and a language, Spanish. And they come home and they have all C's, right? What happens? They become a C child. They become someone who has all C's. When reality is maybe they were in a class, they didn't feel confident, they didn't feel they could speak up, they didn't, and in some cases, if you even think about it, somebody might have dyslexia, they just can't read the way they are. But something is controlling their results, but they're automatically then labeled as a C child. When the reality is those were the results that they got at the particular time. And with a little help and encouragement and maybe more, a little tweaking on how they're operating, they can turn around like that. And it's the same with your business. And it's the same, when you look at the past results, that fear sets in and you're like, I can't do any better. That's just how I am. That's just how I am. And all of a sudden, you notice or you don't notice, all of a sudden, it determines all of your decisions. It determines if you go and try to meet new customers. It determines if you get excited about what you're doing because fear and doubt set in. And I want to talk to you about this. Fear and doubt and being excited and optimistic and going for it cannot live in the same space. And I loved when I heard this because the universe is based on 10 universal laws. And the best one to explain this is the law of gravity. Because everybody goes, oh, universal laws, Helen, what is that? But the reality is they are. The law of gravity, what happens if you put it up, it falls down? That's science. So the law of polarity says you wouldn't experience hot if you didn't know cold. You wouldn't experience good if you didn't know bad. So if you're in fear and indecision and dis-ease and just in a sense of lack, you can't be feeling excited and abundant and ready to go. You just can't be both at the same time. So when you're thinking on your past results and where you were, It keeps you in repeated patterns. And those repeated patterns keep you stuck. And I know this all too well, and so do a lot of my clients. And it dresses itself up as, I just need to get the website perfect. I'm just looking after my, I can say this, so I'm just, I will reach out to those people when I'm not going to go online and speak about what I do because they might question what I'm doing. I don't want to go and talk to people because I might be bothering them. All that fear and of lack and indecision is created, and then it creates more and more doubt. So flip that and look at where you're going. Gosh, I'm helping them. I can help them. I can really help them see a transformation. I can really help them get to where they want to do. Your past does not have to control your future. And when your underlying patterns change, new possibilities open. So let's look at what a shift could look like. So first of all, you can't fix a pattern until you understand it. So I want you to understand that. And what are your patterns? Everybody's patterns are different. They're different. And your situation, particular to you, is also specific. So spend some time, and I'm going to give you a reflection worksheet that's going to be included in this recording if you haven't joined me live. And spend some time just reflecting on what is a particular situation that you want to come back from. Because the beautiful thing is, if you've actually taken a risk and gone where you want to go, you have all the skills and talents and ability to apply it to the next thing and some. So you're actually in 10 times better position than someone who might just be starting out, but they don't carry the baggage of the past thoughts and negativity with them. And how do you get rid of that past thoughts and negativity? You impress back to our woman on the subconscious mind, the thoughts that you want, constant space, repetition, say the same thing, do the same thing until it absolutely starves out the old programming, the past fears, the past doubts. And in that example that I gave about the report card syndrome or the balance sheet syndrome, I'm an A student. All my test results are easy. I'm flying in what I'm doing. I can't believe how well I'm getting on. And this is proven time and time again, as I was, because when I was at that crossroads and that brink, and I had lost everything, the business had closed, and I was contemplating what I was going to do. And I was sitting there saying, I don't even know what I can do. But then I started repeating to myself, I am so happy and grateful that this new business opportunity has come to me. And there are so many people that need my help. And as I kept saying that over and over again, my thoughts started changing, my feelings started changing, and I took different action and I took different results. What do we do first? We notice the beliefs that are holding us back. What are they? What are the beliefs? What are the guards standing at the gate that are holding you back from going where you want to go to? What are they? My biggest one was, oh my God, how am I going to start again? It's going to be so hard. That's why people sometimes don't grow their business. If they're being stagnant and they're, let's go to just your sales. Say they're where they are, or they've stepped back. Because what I want you to know is you're either growing or decaying. You're not staying the same. So if your business is not growing or you're not growing as a person, you're decaying, you're going backwards. So if yours in business isn't growing, ask yourself, what beliefs are holding me back? And you want me to tell you the number one belief that holds everybody back? If I want to double and triple my sales, I'm going to have to work 10 times harder. No, you are not. And in 2023, I doubled my sales and I took 12 weeks holidays. How did I do that? I made a decision that I was going to operate from a different place and do things in a different way. I I attracted more high paying clients, I added more value, and I continue to do that. So the amount of time I spend doing things reduces, but my income is going up incrementally. And you can have that too. Stop listening to that lie about I have to work 10 times harder to get X amount of more income. No, you are programmed at a certain level of income, and to change that programming, you need to understand what is it that I believe, and then you change how you think about those past failures. What if the past failure in your business was the best thing that could have happened to you? What if it gave you so much clarity on what people love, what people are looking for? And then I want you to start to build a new self-concept. In your reflection, it talks about what type of person am I that gets what I want? What personality traits? Who am I? And I want you to become them now, not later, not after this happens, but right now. If you're the person who doubles their income year on year and has more time, what are you like? So let's go back to it first. Let's just recap a little bit first. Identify what beliefs or programming caused you to have that setback in the first place, or is stopping you from jumping forward and doing something new. Second, have a reality check about your beliefs and how you're thinking. Are you holding on to the past failures, and that is what is you're thinking about constantly? What if you thought about all the opportunity and creativity and unimaginable things that you haven't even discovered yet, rather than the past failures? What if you looked at your past failures in a different way? What did I learn here? How has it helped me? And then lastly, I want you to build a different self-concept. Who are you? If you want to be someone who gets up in the morning, let me tell you, you can be. If you want to be someone who starts work at this time, finishes this time, is so productive, you can be. You are. When you change how you see yourself, your results will begin to change too. Period. End of story. I want to share one slide with you before we go. When you make the shift, you're going to feel more confident. You're no longer going to be afraid of failing, because you're going to see failing as an opportunity. And you're going to move forward with more clarity and consistency. Your past, those past results, they don't have to control your future. There's an expression in finance that says past performance does not constitute future performance in investment funds. So your past results have nothing to do with your future. In fact, your past results, if you pick the pieces that have been so helpful in creating where you're going, can be instrumental in where you're going. What you're focusing on is going forward, moving forward. Now, I want to show you this slide with me. So 98% of people look to the left. That's where 98% of people are. Their results, what is happening to them? It's not happening fast enough. It's not happening, or my business has gone downhill. I might as well give up. I'm never going to be good at anything again. Why bother? And you're on that treadmill, that cycle of negativity. But that comeback shift happens when you move to the other side, where the 2 to 3% or 1%, where not the majority are. But man, it's so freeing if you think of what you do want. It would be amazing to move to Ireland. How will I do that? It would be amazing to run my own business. And I feel amazing. And then I think what actions I could take. I be Everything starts coming to me. The creativity is there and the results are there. And it happens. That comeback shift is that simple, but it relies on you, number one, unearthing your subconscious beliefs, challenging them, replacing them, and then looking at how you view yourself. And as you change and you keep growing and moving your self-concept, you will be looking at everything from your thoughts, not your results. Move away from that balance sheet report card syndrome. All that is a record in time of your results. Your results are a reflection of your past thinking. Let me say that again. Your results are a reflection of your past thinking. They have nothing to do with your future. So if your results were based on your past thinking about the economy, your product in the economy, your business in the economy, your ability to run your business, unearth what those beliefs are, what that subconscious programming is. Who am I to do it when everyone else is so much better than me? Unearth it, own it, replace it, and then operate like the 1% where your thoughts will now create your future results. You have it in you to have this comeback shift. And let me tell you, when it happens, it is amazing. And it's so satisfying. And it makes things so confident and it feels so good. Now, last but not least, take a screen grab of this if you want. That QR code is my Calendly link to my diary. Anyone who's on this call, live or in recording, is welcome to have a 30-minute consultation call with me. You don't have to do this alone. You can. You absolutely can. And I have 100% faith in you. Anyone who tells you you can't do it alone is not telling you the truth. But what I know from my experience is when you join a community of like-minded people and share their goals and get into a room where the energy and the vibration is so high, it's like the power of two batteries. So five batteries. I always say 1 + 1 = 11, not two. And the energy, your frequency, your vibration raises, and you start attracting even more things on that. We talk about that over the 6-month program that I work on, but you don't have to do this alone. But the most important thing is that change becomes possible when you decide to move forward. If any and all of this resonates with me, follow me on socials. Keep watching. Stop conforming. Stop using your 5 senses, the way you see, taste, smell, hear. Yes, we're supposed to use them. Yes, we're supposed to use them to enjoy life, but not to help for them to keep us in a box and trapped. Our thoughts decide what we want, not our results. Thank you so much for spending this time with me here this evening. I know and believe in you. Reach out if I can help at all. But most importantly, know that you can do this and that I believe in you. Have a beautiful evening.